Yo, B, let's go.
You may have seen the clip and maybe heard word of mouth, yet another podcast. Man, what could it be about? Is it truth or opinion? A couple of contradictions. We're here to challenge tradition and twist your vision. So we set on a mission to bring you rebel wisdom.
Welcome back to another episode of Rebel Wisdom. I'm Julian here with my co-host B, and today we got a pretty popular topic and a highly debated one. So we're going to talk about LeBron James versus Michael Jordan and the great GOAT debate of basketball. I don't know if you can't tell, I may or may not have a preference of side. I don't know, but for those that are watching, there may be some indicators of who's my personal favorite. But we'll try to keep it. As always, we're gonna discuss both sides, kind of just basketball, the game in its entirety, and dive into this. So again, there's so many public opinions out there on this topic. It's a pretty fun one, and so we kind of like to give our backgrounds or like how we relate to the sport. So for me, actually, basketball has always been kind of like pretty important in my life. And me and you have bonded over basketball like a lot. Like we played pickup games. Like when we used to work together and lived in the same area, like we would play with some people, or me and you would literally just play, and you would attempt to beat me 1-on-1, which never really happened. But nonetheless, I think we both enjoy a good game of pickup. I grew up playing basketball. Like I played in high school, and then my like official career kind of ended there. But always loved the game. Ironically, I don't watch as many people would think, like especially people that know that I love to play. I actually don't watch basketball that much. However, I do play pickup whenever I can and would love to play more. But basketball certainly like holds a special place in my heart, and I've been playing it since, dude, I don't even know, probably like definitely elementary school, before middle school. So played like travel leagues in high school. Like it was like really intense at one point. So yeah, basketball has a definitely like deep rooted connection to me for sure. And then I'm from Cleveland, Ohio, so you know, it, I guess that kind of starts to align the greatest basketball player certainly to ever play for the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think we know, LeBron James, the GOAT, arguably the greatest to play the game. But I don't know. We'll see at the end of this conversation where I lie on that one. But yeah, still a Cleveland Cavaliers fan. I mean, grew up Cleveland Cavaliers fan, still am. And that's pretty much like the lens I view basketball through. Don't watch a lot, play as much as I can, but still know a lot about the game just because I play for years. What about you, B?
I mean, yeah, I never played like organized basketball till I got to college,
Yeah.
and it was like the intramural league that would
Yeah. Oh
play.
yeah.
So
Intramural
like I
warrior.
never like played, and I'll play maybe total 5 pickup games in high school. But from there, like I started playing because like going from high school to college, like the amount of sports that you can play becomes so limited. Like I played baseball since I was in like 4th grade. And I thought I was very good. I started varsity as a freshman, and then that's kind of depending on school that could be harder or not as easy. But I think that's like the easiest way for me to explain. Like I thought I was definitely above average. But then you go to college, but it's not like you can grab 18 people to go play organized baseball.
Yeah.
It's such a hard thing. You need a field, right?
Yeah.
And even for soccer or like I played football for a little bit, but you just can't go pick up a couple people to go play actual football or baseball or soccer or Whereas basketball, you're not always playing 5-on-5, but it's just easy to play 2-on-2. You can just shoot on your own, whatever. So that's why I kind of started playing basketball a lot. But then, yeah, I mean, I never watched Jordan. I've seen LeBron. I mean, I watch basketball from here to time to time. I've been watching it a lot recently because of sports betting. That makes it much more fun.
Uh-huh. You still doing
But
that? Okay.
but so my stance is going to be coming more from like stats, I guess. But then
Yeah.
also adding in components that kind of like signify the stat, if that makes sense, right? So that's my take on this conversation. But I
Okay.
do. But before we get started, I gotta ask. I don't think I ever asked when I was like preparing for this conversation. If I had to pick, I'm gonna be on Jordan's side. But as I was watching, like I was like hearing about other people's arguments on this topic. Wait, so you believe LeBron is number one? Is Jordan number two for you, or is there other players at the number two spot?
Uh, it would be Jordan, and honestly, I haven't put two. It's been like LeBron Jordan for so long.
Mm.
There's only two names that I've heard come close to that conversation, and that's Kobe and
Oh,
Steph.
okay. So
But
I want to say, because one of the guys I was listening to, he put Jordan as one, and then I thought he was gonna say, okay, like LeBron, because he was talking about it, but he put Kobe as two, ahead of LeBron,
Mhm.
which I just never heard
Yeah.
anyone say.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of interesting, but then it was like, maybe I don't hear it because you don't ask the obvious question. Or you think it's so obvious you don't ask the question. So I just wanted to
Right.
make sure.
Yeah. No, it's those names have been thrown around. And again, because I'm not a avid like basketball consumer, I'm not one of those dudes that can like rattle off stat. Like I got a lot of close friends that are just they know most players in the NBA, like can rattle off all the stats.
Mhm.
That's not me. I just know the game, I think, more intimately than the average person because I've played it for so long at semi high level. But that's why it's like it's unique. So yeah, I'm sure. And this conversation is so unique because there's like surface level statistics, and then there's all these like deeper stats, and then there's the tangibles, the intangibles, and like forever, I feel like one thing you can say for Jordan, yeah, you can say for LeBron, and it's so
Yeah.
it's I don't know. I think the best way to really truly pick one is you have to like define the argument, right? Like what are we constituting the best?
Yeah. What is okay? We always like summarize it,
Yeah,
shortcut it as LeBron versus Jordan.
yeah.
What does that mean?
So right, LeBron versus Jordan, who is better? I'm even because they say they're the GOAT argument. So the greatest of all time is the greatest and the best. Could those even be two different things? I don't know.
Okay, so
We're
I
gonna use
think
those.
we can say greatest of all time, right? But
Yeah, yeah.
greatest of all times
Uh,
in terms of what?
yes, right at basketball. So let's like walk that
Just
back.
just
Is
basketball.
yes. Which this is funny for me because I'll say yes. Yes, the answer to that question is yes. Greatest of all time at basketball, yes. But then there's some other things characteristic wise that I'll bring up in this conversation that may not really lend itself to proving who's better, but I think are just interesting when contrasting these people.
Mm,
So, right, well, the argument, for sake of argument, greatest of all time at the sport of basketball, but we'll kind of talk about more about the people as we go. Now, for basketball, to define somebody in basketball, like what is the point of basketball? Like what is the objective of the game of basketball? Now you can look at that. Is it like scoring? Like the only way to be the winner is the score. You can be the best at defense in the universe, but like defense doesn't equate to offense. So you can stop someone from scoring, but if you can't score, you can't win. Period.
mhm.
Right? Like there has to be some element of offense to even be in the conversation. So is the biggest, I don't know, I guess like statistical point like scoring? Like is that our pinnacle? Or is it, you score so you can win? So are we defining winning like who's the winningest or who's the best at scoring? There's more stats, but it's like both can be, so what are I don't, like you score to win. So I guess winning is the ultimate goal here?
Okay, I'll take it one step
Question mark?
further.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually I do I like this because we don't talk when you argue about with something
Right.
with someone, like we don't define these things, right?
Right.
It was
Yeah.
very similar on the 100 men versus gorilla.
Yeah.
Depending on the circumstance of the setting of that battle, you could have the gorilla win easily. Whereas
Yep.
if certain nuanced stuff changed, humans would easily win.
Yep.
So that is a good
Exactly.
point that we often gets overlooked. And but I'm gonna continue your line of thought.
Okay.
You said to play basketball, you want to win, therefore you got to score to win. The game of basketball, is it just to win, or is it to win the championship, or to be the best team in the league?
Right.
Which one is it?
Exactly. Exactly.
Because why do you want to win? You win so you can go into the playoffs.
Yep.
So in the playoffs, why do you play playoffs? You play playoffs to be in the championship game. What's the purpose of the championship game? It's to win the ring. So is that the purpose? Because I could buy that, but I could also buy the idea that, basketball is a team sport. So even if someone scores 100 points on their own every single game, there's not too much argument to say, is that player good or not? Yeah, of course
Yeah.
they're good. They're scoring 100 points a game, but
Yeah.
could
Right.
the team have scored more if the guy was less selfish,
Mm,
right?
yeah.
So those are the kind of stuff that I'm thinking about. And then for the argument's sake, I think we should define it because depending on what the end goal of basketball is, we have a clear winner on either side. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense. And just to elaborate on your point, like someone could score, like if you're scoring 100 points and your team is let's say you average 100 points, which is never going to happen. But let's say so you're on average scoring 100 points, but you lose most of your games, right? Are you a better contender for the GOAT conversation, or are you worse because like your teams never win, therefore you're never going to playoffs, you're never going to the finals, you're never winning the championship? Yeah, that's a great point. So I think I think this conversation has to be multifaceted. This conversation, I don't think we can hang on one stat because but I think the stats are weighted, right? So it's like
Mhm.
who has more rings, I think is weighted more heavily than who has more, like who plays more minutes. Like, I think if we were to put like a weight value of 10, like scale of 1 to 10, like rings would be weighted like a 9 in impact to this conversation, and like how many minutes you play a game is like a point 0.5, like a 1 point,
Mhm.
very, very minimal. Um, so I mean they both could matter. So I don't think we can define like the winner of this argument off of one singular stat. I think it has to
Okay.
be out of multiple stats who has the most in
Wh-
most
what do
categories.
you think are let's narrow it down to two. And then obviously one's gonna favor Jordan, one's gonna favor
Yeah.
LeBron naturally. That's
I
probably the
mean, not
best way to
not
argue it.
necessarily, yeah.
But
Um,
what are the two most important things when you're looking at a player that's weighted the most in terms of the game of the basketball?
all right, again, if we're sticking with the objective of basketball, I think although I'm personally not a big proponent of this, but again, in spirit of like what the game is intended for, I mean, like all sports is to win. So I think you have to do who, and the peak of winning, to your point, is championships. So who has
Okay.
the most championships?
So one will be championship or like
Yep.
playoff that we'll say
Well,
postseason performance with that.
postseason wins.
Yeah, sure.
'Cause performance, you could take in like a whole bunch of stats too, like personal stats. So we'll do, I guess, postseason wins. So like, sure, playoff wins, finals, and championship, and then scoring because you got to score to win.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah,
kind of hard to get away from the scoring
it's
conversation
so
in
hard.
this
Yeah,
topic. Yeah,
it has to be a
it's
piece of it.
yeah.
Yeah, but it's good again that this is layered, I guess, or like multiple questions because people always say like LeBron Jordan. Oh, again, thinking the pinnacle is winning rings. Like who has more rings? Jordan. It's Jordan. But there's all these people you probably have never heard of that have more rings than Jordan. So
Yeah.
it's like, but they could have just been on a good team for a long ass time. And it's like, did they even really contribute? So that's why rings is like, if you're the dominant player on that team, rings means a lot. But like, just rings, I think is actually kind of overweighted.
Yeah,
Um,
you're right because you could be the number one bench player that, you play in the fourth
yep,
quarter and just happen to be on teams that won. Right? So that could
yep.
happen. I get that argument. Let's go let's go in from you want to talk about the scoring side first or the
Um,
playoffs championship stuff?
we can let's do the scoring.
Okay.
And then after this, I want to also look at, and this may be for more fun. It's again less analytical, so it's harder to be objective about, but like intangible stuff too.
Oh,
But like versatility, I don't know, defense rating, like
also I also want to talk about later probably towards the end is probably a better time for this conversation, but impact they made for the sport and the
Sure.
world.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah,
that is
yeah,
a
yeah. With these
good
two guys, you got yeah, yeah, yeah.
influence overall in
Yeah.
not
Oh
just
yeah, that
basketball,
goes in
but
there. Yep, yep,
the
yep.
league, the younger generation, for the world. So, okay, let's start with scoring then. So, overall, points per game, Jordan wins.
Yeah, he averaged. What did he average?
It says career
About
combined
30.
for regular season and postseason. If you just combine everything,
Oh,
he
okay,
has
yeah.
about 30.98 points per game. So we'll call it 31.
Okay, okay.
And then
But on the
LeBron, on the other hand, the regular season playoffs combined, he has 27.35.
okay,
So
yep.
27.
Okay, perfect.
So you have
That's around what
31
I'm looking at.
versus 27, which is a 4-point gap.
Which is also crazy because LeBron is still playing. So like
Yeah.
that could go up, but it also could go
It
down.
could go to,
So
yeah.
yeah. I mean, we'll take it at like time now. But yeah, so scoring points per game. And again, this is we talked about we'll like focus on postseason, but that's like the whole season, which I think is that's fine. It's Jordan. Now, this is interesting, and I want to get your thought on this. A lot of people, when conversation starts to favor LeBron, they say, "Oh, but he's been playing so much longer. That's not fair. Like if him and Jordan played the same amount of time, Jordan would have the same stats or better." One, there's no ifs in this. Like Jordan did not play longer, so you can kill that. But do you think LeBron playing longer hurts his case or helps his case?
I think it hurts his case in terms of the points conversation because naturally he is one of the GOATs. Regardless of if he
Yeah,
is the GOAT or
objectively,
not, he is one of the
yeah,
legends, right?
yes,
But
that's a fact.
no human has yet to figure out how to combat aging, right? Everyone ages, everyone gets
Yep.
old, and your
Yep.
body just starts to become worse.
Yes.
So from that, just like basic common sense,
Okay.
his points per game should be going down.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the longevity also plays a piece into his ability, his consistency, his ability to not get injured, which is I think is a huge thing for players
Yeah.
in
Oh
any
yeah.
sport.
Yeah.
Like I look at I like baseball, so and Otani is a kind of big player right now that everyone's
Oh
talking
yeah.
about, but
Yep.
he has like a very good like a body that doesn't get injured, and it's part genetics and it's also part the stretches and the workout that he does. So I don't think that weighs as much as the points per game stat, but it is something to kind of think about. And I'm going to be going against my guy Jordan just to give some credit to LeBron. But I was reading some stuff and I was like, okay, like this kind of makes sense where so Jordan played in 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
And they played a different type of basketball than what we play
Yeah.
today in the NBA, right? Like today in the NBA, this is my personal opinion. I never watched like NBA games in the 80s and 90s like consistently. I started only watching it like after 2010, maybe
Okay.
after 20, it's just, right?
You said the
How
80s or 90s. You mean like
I wasn't even
2008,
born in the 80s.
2009? Yeah.
Yeah. I do think the defense is not as great now. It just like it's a much higher scoring game.
Mhm.
And then, that argument kind of brings two thoughts. Either the defense is just getting weaker or it's not as emphasized, or the player is just getting better so they have higher ability to score. And usually
Yeah.
I could see both cases because at least in baseball, there's a conversation like if you say, "Hey," without thinking about it, who's the GOAT in baseball? Best player ever. Now, usually in this conversation, when you say who's the GOAT in baseball, it's usually Babe Ruth. Like
Okay.
he's the top.
Yeah, I know he's most known for like batting though, right?
Well, he batted and pitched.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel okay. I just
But
didn't know the rest of his game outside of batting, but
you
okay.
gotta kind of take into account the game evolves over time. People get
Oh, yeah.
stronger and faster as
Yeah.
time goes on, right? So looking at like player level to player level, like I personally think like Babe Ruth wouldn't even be in the MLB right now if he were to play today, right? So in the same line of thinking, I think the competition got harder and harder as time went on, and also maybe the defense was not as emphasized. But as the transition happened, like LeBron played in all the different play styles that the NBA went through,
Yeah.
right? Like now is like the 3-point game, the NBA right now. But
I
he
was gonna
played
bring up, yeah.
he excels in today's league. He excels in the rough, like, earlier days, like super rough defense, like that environment. He excelled in that. And basically the point I'm trying to make is like there are so many play styles that NBA goes through, and he excelled in all those playing styles.
Yeah.
And that part is like, okay,
Mm.
like I don't hear that in the conversation against Michael Jordan versus
Yeah.
LeBron James. It's usually just the stats. But I just hate looking at the surface level information and calling it something.
Oh, yes. You said some good stuff. You introduced some intangibles that, aren't as easy to quantify. And to your point of the game evolving, I had to quickly look up. I was like, was the 3-point line invented when Jordan started? I couldn't remember if it was invented just after he got in the league or before, because that would play an impact on his ability for like points per game. Like if 3-point wasn't even a thing, he could only score 2-pointers. But the NBA, the 3-point line was introduced in the 1979-1980 season, and Jordan joined the league in 1984. So the 3-point line was there his entire career. So we're neutral there,
Okay.
not a like discriminating factor. But to your point in the game evolving, threes are much more prevalent now and like sought after. Like it's just a bigger part of the game. It just is. So that just lends to the style of game is different. And I actually want to change our overall question, right? We're talking about greatest of all time. So in the timeline of basketball, who is the greatest? And because of what you said, I think that's unfair to compare LeBron to a Michael Jordan like timeline, or to compare Michael Jordan to LeBron. They're playing in the sport is the same, but it's almost different games, if that makes sense. So I think the question should just be,
It
I
has
don't
to
know. I kind
be
of want to reframe it like who's the best, but even still, you have to compare them.
you
Like you
have to
can't.
adjust. You have to adjust some things to
Right.
fit it into the
Right.
timeline that
It's like
they played
adjusting for
in.
inflation. Like how do you do
Yeah,
that
right. Exactly.
in
Like
this context? Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people anchor on this, which I don't think they should. But LeBron James is the all-time scoring leader.
Yes.
But that's
Yep.
not. I don't think that's a good metric to use, because someone that should be retiring, but they just continue to play, they're
Yeah.
right? Like, what if I scored
Iffy.
1 point every 10 games in the NBA,
Play for like
but then
1,000
I
years.
played for 20,000 years?
Yeah, exactly.
Do I
at
become
some
the
point.
greatest player of all time? No, right? It's an obvious no.
Right. But
So,
I have a caveat to that. But go
yeah.
ahead.
Go ahead.
What makes that interesting is he has the most points of all time, right? And he also played in the league like the longest. Both of those are facts. But what makes this interesting is LeBron is the youngest to those benchmarks. Like LeBron is the youngest player to ever reach 10,000 points. And I think 20, like every 10,000, I think 10,000, 20,000, 30,000. And he currently, I think, has 40,000 something. But he was the youngest. So he didn't get those because he was playing a long time. He actually got there earlier in his career.
Okay.
So that the timeline piece on that specific one actually doesn't play a factor. But at this point, I think he will continue. I mean, I don't think he'll hit 50,000. Or if he's at 50, I can't remember if he's at 40 or I think he's at 40, like 2,000 or something. He won't hit the next 10,000. I mean, if he does, that's absolutely non-human. But like anything he does now, I think will be for longevity. But he got to the highest amount of 10,000 points, 20,000. He was also the youngest to those, not just like hit it the quickest. Like he was the youngest. So
Okay.
the dude's just a scorer, like just straight up. But yeah, dude, something about like, I'm sorry, you were about to say something else after that though. I don't know if you remember.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, so at least for points per game, which I think is a better metric than who scored more ever.
Yeah.
So we will give it to Jordan.
Yes.
with some
Yes.
caveats of giving points to LeBron in different facets, like longevity we talked about
Yeah.
with different playing styles. He excelled in everything.
Yeah.
Became
Yeah.
setting some stats. So what about the playoff side, the championship side?
Yes. I believe. Again, this is out without looking it up. So Jordan went to what, like 6 finals and never lost. Like
He's 6
every
and 0,
finals
yeah.
he went to, he won.
So
So
that could be a byproduct of him being the GOAT, or he just not to say that he's any less of a better athlete, but he could have just had a better team as well,
correct.
which
Correct.
I value that more as like a game of basketball. It's not about one person just scoring everything. It's
Yeah.
about setting up, the team and
Yeah.
setting up plays to make buckets.
I agree.
So with both of those arguments, I think it has to go to Jordan, right?
Yeah. I think like LeBron went to the playoffs more. Again, he's been playing longer,
Mm-hmm.
which is a feat in itself. But yeah, I think Jordan's efficiency, finals efficiency, is better, and so I don't know who has more finals wins though. No, it's Brown. I'm tripping, or Jordan. So yeah, I think we have to give that to Jordan.
I do have a question though,
Oh,
real quick. So
yes.
Jordan is like everyone kind of agrees that he's a very clutch player. Not to say that LeBron isn't, but we can agree Jordan's a clutch player, right?
Yes.
So the clutch requirement or the definition could be ambiguous from person to
Yes.
person.
Yes.
But how would you rank a person that scores like LeBron, right? Let's think of LeBron.
Mhm.
But any clutch required shots, he can't make.
So
Any
like
buzzer beater,
LeBron
he can't make. Any
what?
game winning shot, he's 0%. Like,
Okay.
does he come in the conversation of being one of the GOATs?
Yeah.
Or is
I don't.
is clutchness
Yes.
part of something that you gotta have as a GOAT?
No, I feel like that's just a cherry on top. Like game closer, you don't. No, I don't think so. I don't
Because
think so.
usually, like, LeBron is for his teams, or at least he was, and I'm sure
Yeah.
Jordan was as well. Like,
Yeah.
when there's 3 seconds on the clock, you're down by 2, and or let's say you're down by 1, and you gotta dunk, a layup,
Yeah.
field goal, or a 3-point. Like, you have to
Mhm.
do something. It usually goes to the star player, the best player on the team,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
Usually, like,
because the best player is usually the best scorer, but you could have someone that's the best player and not necessarily the best scorer. Like let's say you need a 3, and you have a guy like you're down by 3 points. You need a 3 to tie it to extend the game, and you have a dude that can't play defense, can't rebound, low assist, but he's a sniper. Like you might draw up a play to get him a 3-point shot. So I mean, you're still right. I still agree with what you said. It just so happens that usually the best players on teams happen to be the better scorers, but I'm
mhm.
just saying it doesn't have to be that way.
Okay.
Some people are just bomb shooters and
Like,
yeah.
for me personally, like, when you're the greatest at a sport,
Yeah.
like, you just gotta have that like, I don't know what
Yeah,
the
you
word
have
is,
to
but you just
wear
gotta
around
have
with
it,
it.
right? Like, me personally, when I play baseball, like, if I could give myself, like, the hexagon with that gives, like,
Yep.
health or
Little chart.
stamina, shooting,
Yep.
guarding, like, those,
Yep.
like, stats thing. At least in baseball, I was probably one of the unclutch players. Like, I would get on base when there's no one on base. But as soon as there was, like, someone on second or third, I just couldn't hit. So, in from that line of thinking, I'm just not a contender to be a GOAT, regardless of rest of my stats. Me personally. So, that's one of the things, like, like, in an NBA season, championship has to be the most important, most, nerve-wracking game that you play in the season. And he consistently hits those shots that need to be made. he does it. I don't. I mean, of course he's good. That's part of it, but
Yeah.
I think that carries a weird
Mm,
stat.
yeah.
It's not a quantifiable stat because clutch is so
Yeah.
ambiguous. But
I mean,
you know what I mean, right? Like,
yeah. No, I do feel you. And I'm wondering, like, if we defined it as, like, who hit more shots to either tie or win the game, LeBron or Jordan? That's probably something we can actually, like, look up. If
mhm.
that's how we define clutch, then it probably can be quantifiable. But it does count not only who can hit it, and this is where people said Jordan, we're getting away from the statistical stuff, but we'll just go with it. This is where people said Jordan had the edge. I feel like if the game's on the line, Jordan's like, give me the ball. Like, let me dominate, let me take over. Whereas LeBron doesn't have like that killer instinct, like people, then this is like the Mamba mentality what Kobe had, that killer instinct where they're like, I want the ball, like I'm the guy, I will finish this. And LeBron has less of that. He's capable of finishing it and he will, but like LeBron might try to like set somebody else up and get them the open shot, or like, I don't, maybe be a decoy and kick it out, or like LeBron doesn't take over. And that's where some people like
Mm,
knock LeBron. He doesn't have the killer instinct like a Jordan or Kobe, which again, not quantifiable. Some could argue that's even better. Like he's more, again, it's a team sport. Is LeBron more of a team player? And I think
yeah,
anybody would say like definitely LeBron's more of a team player than Kobe and Jordan. But like that's also what helps Kobe and Jordan this argument, because they're so, I mean, they were kind of selfish, but they were the best. So it's almost like justified. Like they're selfish, but they also gave results. So it's like, can you be mad at them? But I think to your overall point, like, no, I can't be mad at them. But where does that play in the GOAT conversation?
yeah.
The killer instinct, yeah, clutch genes, yeah. I think you're right. It might have some sort of weighting in this conversation, which I don't know who I would give that to, because I think it seems like Jordan's more clutch because again he was known to have that killer mentality, whereas LeBron's not as overt with it, but I think he also has a bunch of clutch shot, like
No,
game
you're right.
tying
No,
or winning
he does.
shots.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I
So
think the Jordan one
I
just
don't know who's more
highlighted
clutch.
because he has clutch moments that he has successfully overcome in clutch games. Like you can
Yeah.
hit the same exact shot in a regular season game versus game 7
Got
in
you.
a chain
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah. I
an
see what
NBA
you're
final.
saying.
Like that's
Yep, yep, yep,
it
yep,
just
yep.
has different
It's
weight to it, you
different.
know?
It does. Yes.
And
Yes.
while you're talking, I just pulled up the stat, and you're right. LeBron James overall, I guess in the unselfishness category, that I couldn't
Yep.
really think of anything besides assists. I think assists is like probably the only objective thing you can look
Categorizes.
at,
Yeah.
even though it's probably more, but
Yeah.
assists is
He
the
has way
only
more
stat
assists.
they can look up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, J- LeBron does have 7.4 games, 7.4 assists per game,
Yep.
where Jordan has 5.3.
Yep.
So on average, LeBron James does have 2 more assists than Jordan. So
Yeah. That, I mean, and again, most people that know anything about it, like I didn't watch Jordan that much growing up. Like,
mm,
I mean, he got out of the league, I think in 2003. I was 10. Like I didn't watch Jordan really. You know what I mean? I just highlights and maybe like old game I've seen like once or twice. So that already makes it hard. But obviously all the stats and stuff exist on the internet.
mm. Do we want to? Is defense a conversation, a topic in this conversation?
I think yes. I think yes. And even more broad, which is less quantifiable than defense. Defense, you can only go on awards like defensive player of the year, all team, defensive all team or whatever. Like I think Jordan wins that without looking.
It says he has 9 all defensive first team. In
Yeah.
1988, he won the defensive player of the year, which is actually kind of crazy at the offensive caliber that he had
Yes.
to have also the defensive. Yeah.
You're right. Um, 2 points to extend on the like what you can quantify in defense is blocks as well. That's a defensive category.
Oh, right.
But I
Yep.
think what I'm looking at is Jordan had this. I thought LeBron for sure would have, just a bigger dude, and LeBron played all five. Only person to play all five positions and guard all five positions, which is a whole nother category.
Yo,
But we won't even go there. So I thought LeBron for sure would have more blocks, but I'm seeing that Jordan averaged 0.8 blocks per game, and LeBron averaged approximately 0.8 blocks a game. So
what about steals too? Blocks and
good.
steals.
Yes, yeah. Steals. I'm tripping. Jordan averaged more. Jordan 2.3, LeBron 1.6. So again,
Okay.
Jordan is leading.
Which is biased because what you said, LeBron does play all five positions, and he's
Exactly.
very good at all five positions,
Which has never been done before.
right? But I don't. Man, that's so good because I personally think that's like a very important attribute.
Yes,
But no
versatility.
one is saying that you have to play all five
You don't.
positions.
Yeah, you don't at all. You definitely don't. Yeah.
Well, that's a
Here,
tough one. Yeah, that's
bro,
tough.
it's
That one's tough.
so hard.
Yeah, that
And
one's
here's
tough.
a fun question within this conversation that I like to ask that kind of makes you, it might make you think of the players different. Like, if you were building a team and there's some stakes on the line, I don't know, I'm trying not to get too dark. If you lose, somebody's going to take your house, or
Mhm.
if you win, you get $1 million, or whether positive or negative, whatever, there's some at stake. You have a team of, basketball's a team of 5, so you have 5 people on your team. You don't know who your other 3 players are. They could be point guards, they could be big men. Like, you don't know. You just know you're getting 3 dudes, you, and your 5th person is either Michael Jordan or LeBron. But again, you're playing to win. Like, you need to win. Who are you picking? Probably should
Just
ask
from
this, like, at
that
the end of the
scenario
pod.
alone, because I don't know the 3 people in the positions that they play,
Okay.
it logically makes sense to go with LeBron.
Mm.
But then NBA is not like that. You have the best of the best at each position.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Okay, what if you had fine, what if you have 4 of you and you need a 1 player? Does that change your decision? Like, who are you picking to maximize your chance to win?
Probably Jordan.
Spicy. Okay. It's also a hard question because, like, we're thinking time now. Again, this is a
Mhm.
different era. Even if they're both at their peak, Jordan just didn't play in this I mean, basketball's still basketball. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard because I also think if we took peak Jordan, put him in the league now, I don't think he would do as good as if we took peak Bron and put him in the league in Jordan's era at his peak, because of, I think the overall competition is better now. Kind of like you said, the evolution of the game, but you also have evolution of humans, and like,
Mhm.
people are bigger, better, faster, stronger. So I don't know how that plays in the conversation. Again, it's not really
The
fair, but it's like,
the only
if we're
thing is,
comparing,
I do think the overall players have gotten better, but I think that defense as a emphasis has gone down in today's league versus
I don't know if it's going. It's just soft. It's not as rough. Like, they used to be. They used to play like,
right. Yeah.
yeah,
In
yeah.
in that condition, Jordan was doing a
Mm.
lot all those stuff, and
True.
again, these
Okay.
are
True.
unquantifiable stuff,
Yes.
which is the part that makes it hard in terms of an
Yes.
argument, because we're
Yes.
not just trying to argue emotionally. We're like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
because they look cool, because they
Yeah.
had just
Yeah.
it's not like
Yeah.
that. I'm trying to have an actual honest
Yep.
stats based
Yep.
argument.
Okay. Yep. Yep.
But
Yep.
here's my question though. Let's go back to the 2 things that we said we're gonna anchor on, right? Which
Okay.
is j- championship or
Wins.
playoffs or
Yep.
something around the
Finals.
postseason
Yep.
stuff, or scoring.
Yep.
Which Jordan has the playoffs and championships, and he also has most points per game, or
Mhm.
not. I don't know if it's most points per game, but over
Well,
LeBron.
yes.
So, what is the argument for LeBron being the GOAT from your perspective?
And what we, in the confines of how we frame this argument,
Mhm.
postseason wins. So LeBron, some, like, Jordan has finals, but there's still more in the post. Yeah. I don't know. Postseason wins and points per game, scoring, again, not all time points, because again, Brown will win,
Mhm.
but points per game, and how we're defining it, then there's no conversation. Those are facts captured in history. Like,
Mhm.
it's Jordan. I would have to go outside the scope of that to argue for LeBron.
which is
Um,
like are you talking like like longevity,
um,
versatility?
so I'll throw out some categories that are, yes, far less quantifiable. Versatility, um, size and athleticism, that's kind of a weak one, but just if we really dive into this conversation, you just take people's bodies, like just
Mhm.
their build, no stats, no, like his frame. LeBron is a freak of a human. Just like size, speed, agility. Like people that are that big are supposed to be able to move like him. Um,
100
that
LeBrons or one gorilla?
I'm going Bron. If he's properly
Peak
motivated,
Braun.
yeah, I'm going Bron. Dunking on that gorilla.
I feel like LeBron would beat the
Yeah.
shit out of a gorilla, dude.
Yeah. 100 bronze is crazy. Um, yeah, longevity and durability. People, it's more of a fun fact and not really, but like people like to talk about like record breaking. Like LeBron holds the most records in the NBA. Like just I don't I feel like he does, but there's some obscure things that I do think
Mhm.
his longevity. Actually, I do think that's factual. I think LeBron has the most records of NBA, just like he has the most number one category spots, but that probably his longevity does play into that, which I don't think discredits those. But like, if that was a stat, like LeBron is more number ones, and insert whatever.
You know what's the most crazy stat that he has?
So
A father-son duo highest scoring in the league ever.
yeah, yeah,
I
I saw
thought I
that.
saw that like beginning of maybe
Yeah,
this season or
I
last
mean,
season.
even if Bronny had 1 point, it would still be just because he has so many. But like, all
Dude,
right,
they put it on a live like game. There was like
I
highest
saw that.
scoring father and son duo. I was like, no way they just put that
Insane,
on a game.
insane.
Like
I mean,
that's
but it's
so much disrespect to Bronny, dude.
so okay, this is super obscure and I'm taking this far right, but let's talk about that. Genetically, I feel like LeBron is better. He has his youngest son, Bryce, is dominating high school.
Mhm.
He picked his college. I think he's going into his freshman year, like top rated in the nation. Bronny made it to the NBA and kind of killed it in the G League. Everybody was like, oh, he's not ready to be in the NBA. He's not, which honestly, I kind of agree with. I think Bronny, it was like nepotism. I think he got in the league because his dad's LeBron. Was he
Mhm.
good? Yes, Bronny's good. But league, good? Don't think he was ready. But he dominated in the G League. I
Oh,
mean,
really?
yeah. Like he had like multiple like 20-point games in the G League, which everybody was like, oh my God, like nobody
Oh,
was
shoot.
expecting. In the NBA, he didn't do anything. Like the couple games he plays, he gets like scrap men. Like he didn't do anything crazy, but he scored here and there and like didn't do anything terrible either. So net, like overall, I think Bronny performed better than most people expected because everybody
Mm.
thought he was going to tank. And then you have LeBron, who's a Greek goddess of basket, like a Greek god rather, just a freak of nature. So like, and I don't know if it's Magic Johnson's son or Michael Jordan. Pretty sure Michael Jordan's son is like got caught up in like went to jail for like coke or something. Like just not like
But that
so.
could be a byproduct of the parenting style rather than genetics too.
Yes, let's talk about that too. I think LeBron is just an all around better person. Again, has very little to do with basketball.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'm biased, sure, I get it, but it's
Yeah, that
like
you know
when you
what
have a
though?
human that just excels in every category, that's hard to look away from.
That is one thing that I would give you because I don't like this is a basketball topic, but
Yeah.
just like how I said to be a GOAT, like for me personally, you just got to
Mm-hmm.
have that clutch
Mm-hmm.
oomph. I also feel like you got to be like a role model in off the court. It's just one of those things that you got to have to be me personally. Like
I like that.
like I don't think we'll be having this conversation if 1 year after Jordan retired, he like mass murdered a crowd of people.
Yeah.
I
Right.
just
Right.
don't
Right.
think we'll be having this conversation too. Like, so I've never heard this brought up in this argument,
Yeah.
but for any goats of any kind, I do think your character does play a factor because like goat is like a status that like people look up to. Like it's like It's more than
Yeah.
the money, more than
Yeah.
it's you're gonna it's just with you, and like I don't know.
Yeah, it's in you. It's
I
in you. It's
value
not
that
on you.
stuff a
Yeah.
little bit more than some people would.
Same, dude.
Yeah.
I think it's all of that. Like you said, more than the money. I think that can be a conversation. Like the on and off court leadership and the philanthropy, the business acumen. Like if you can do all of those things, again, I'll go back to Bron's kids real quick. Do you know how hard it is to be in his position and just in the spotlight and to be held to the standard and still be a present father?
Yeah.
And he's always spotted at his son's games and like yelling from the sideline, giving coaching advice, or just on TikTok, like messing around with Bronny and Bryson. His daughter. Oh my God, I'm forgetting his daughter's name. Savannah's his wife. Dang, Zuri. I'm blaming his daughter, but like he's always shown like with his family, laughing and joking. Good family man. I'm sure like Jordan has endeavors off the court too, but like he opened up a school in Akron, Ohio, where he's from, and gives like grants to the schools and these kids. Like just I genuinely can't think of a bad thing LeBron's done. And dude, I do that does play a small part in my calculus. Or sure, basketball maybe not, but like it just makes him that much easier to like and respect and look up to. So again, we're talking about the GOAT, right? And we can expand this conversation to global influence and leadership because we kind of
Mhm.
brought that up in the beginning. Yeah, people will look at that, and that certainly plays a piece. When you're talking about people becoming the ESPN cover of magazines and the covers of video games, you think, to your point, you think they're gonna publicize somebody that commits like mass murder or
Yeah.
even
No, 0%
rape or
chance. Yeah.
no, they're not. They want somebody that's good at their sport, that excels at their job, and is just a good public figure,
Hmm.
which for the most part, LeBron and Jordan both were, but public figure, hands down LeBron, hands down.
Public
Um,
figure.
yeah, just well, I guess
I think
like
public figure would go to Jordan.
uh, yeah, public figure might not be the right term. I don't know. I think that could be debatable too. I guess
Okay.
positive image, I think
Okay.
positive image goes to LeBron. You might be
Okay.
right.
Sure.
Public figure is more
Yeah.
debatable. I think positive image,
Uh,
hands down, goes to LeBron.
I agree with that. Let's go to the
Public
public
figure.
figure image that
Yes.
we talked about because I also think, I think it's relevant.
Yeah.
One of the things that I do want to bring up is NBA's. Let me fact check before I say this.
Okay.
Give me 1 second on ChatGPT. Okay, so let me read this real quick. I typed in which top 5 NBA seasons had the best ratings ever.
Okay.
Number 1 is 97-98.
Yep. That's when
That's a
was that
very important year for Jordan.
do you know he left the league and came back?
I
Like
did not know that.
he didn't play in the NBA consecutively. Yeah. I'm trying to look at what year he came back.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay, so 97-98 is number 1.
Okay.
92-93 it was number 2.
Dang,
And they
okay.
highlight the finals, Bulls versus Suns.
Mm.
97-88,
All before
95-96, 96-97.
Dang. That is interesting. No, that's interesting. Wow.
So
Wait, you said best rating, right? Not most views?
ratings,
Just okay,
ratings, yep.
okay. Okay.
So
Just
with
okay.
that, Jordan played in an era where basketball rating was the highest ever.
Yeah.
And since it peaked, it's just been declining over the years. And regardless of whether we like it, that is a fact.
Yes, that's a fact.
So with that being said, like the face of the league after Jordan was LeBron. So Jordan was part of, whether he was the reason behind it or not, he was part of the most popular basketball era by the audience. And he was the face of it during that time. And when the face turned to LeBron James, and it might not be because of him, but he is still the
Yes, sir.
face where the ratings just continued to gradually go down over time.
Mhm.
So that's one statistic.
Mm.
And another big thing is like we kind of talked about it in the previous episode of like America's favorite pastime, but
Yeah.
like you go, I don't know, you can go to a pickup game at LA Fitness here, or you can go in the streets of Japan. You can you can go to a Chinese high school, people playing basketball.
Yeah.
Like if you see their shoes, are you gonna ask them, "Hey, is that Jordans or is that
Yeah.
LeBron's?" Like I don't even, to be honest, I don't even know what LeBron shoes look like.
Have a
I
couple
know
pair.
he has one like Kobe. Like I remember people wearing like Kobe's.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what LeBron's look like. So in
Yeah, that's
terms of the
disrespectful to Bron
impact,
B.
like
Disappointing.
I think that also carries weight into
Mhm.
the just the impact as a player that Jordan had
Yeah.
that fueled the league, that led to the league that, like it kind of passed it off to LeBron.
You're saying things that I hate to agree with, but I have to. I think Jordan's shoe. Well, let me say I agree. And part of it is a timeline thing. It's like what came first, the chicken or the egg? Like if the roles reversed. I think because Jordan predates LeBron, therefore he influences LeBron. Like LeBron might not be LeBron if there were no Jordan. Like
Yeah.
Jordan set the blueprint of the greats, like influenced this league's generation. And LeBron is on camera, like he notes that. Like he will give his credit to Jordan. I mean, you
Okay.
can't deny that. So he grew up watching Jordan and aspiring to be like Jordan. Like Jordan is part of his motivation. So in this category, it's hard to say one because like Jordan literally influenced Bron, and Bron has done a lot of things Jordan has. Like they both big in the shoe game. Now Jordan just like is iconic in the footwear game, and I do think the shoe is more prevalent. And who say like LeBron once he gets out the league, that's something he can continue to work on the branding and whatever. Like I don't think LeBron shoes are going away. But to your point, I do think Jordan's again in the shoe game specifically is more popular. And while you were saying that, that made me think of something. Like most people, whether you're a huge fan of basketball or not, like you can think of a Kobe moment. Like when people shoot paper in the trash can, they say Kobe, like signature fadeaways. Like
Yeah.
Jordan's known for the like his logo, like the spread
Yep.
legs,
Yep.
like tongue out. Like you say, what's a Jordan like a Jordan pose or Jordan move? Like you can kind of picture it.
hmm
Kobe move, you can kind of picture it. When I say LeBron move, like he doesn't have an iconic. Well, he kind of does, but
He
if
has
like people
the
like
like
make for him
picture like before the
on the
game
internet.
where he slaps the like
Yeah,
powder in the
he
air.
pours the powder in his head, but that's not a move. That's just
Yeah,
like a.
that's like
I'm talking about like
like
an in game, like a
yeah, yeah,
move,
yeah.
like players replicating, like little kids do when they're playing around. Like that's just a like pregame ritual. Yeah, he kind of does. He has this move, like he like kind of like stares down at you and he'll like hesitate or do like a little jab and then shoot. But again, nobody's yelling like a MJ or Kobe. Like it's just
Mhm.
not as. I don't know. I don't think it's as prevalent. So yeah, global impact or what was the phrase we used?
Like public image or public
Public
yeah.
image might be might be Jordan. Again, it's hard not to be biased because LeBron's still active, like he's still playing now. So
Yeah.
like there's things like we hear his name more frequently because in the league, but like on a
Yeah.
one-to-one comparison,
I will
yeah.
play devil's advocate on myself though. With the shoes thing, you did, I kind of thought about it when you said, Jordan came before LeBron, obviously,
Yeah.
but I don't know. So there's two theories that I have on this
Uh-huh.
that I was just kind of thinking about as we were talking. We don't know whether if LeBron played before Jordan, and let's say he was as good as he is right now, let's say, would the Jordans we know today, it could have been LeBron's. And I could have said the same thing was like if LeBron came before Jordan, it's like, who the
Yeah.
hell wears Jordans? Like we only care about LeBron. That could have been flipped.
Exactly.
But so that is one theory. Another theory is like, was Jordan's became popularized
Popularized. Yeah.
because of how good Jordan was or how good looking and stylish the shoes were? I think it's both,
Probably
probably.
both. More so
But
the name though. It's the name that's attached to it. I think more than the look.
Mm.
Like if you throw Jordan on some if Jordan partnered with Skechers tomorrow, I bet Skechers sales will go up. And I'm not talking the style does
Yeah.
not change. It's just like Jordan endorses Skechers or like Jordan, you know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
the name, I bet you the Skechers company's gonna be worth more.
Yeah.
So I maybe a little stylish, but I think it's more the name.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So the point I'm trying to get at is I do think Jordan does have the public image or the global
Yeah.
popularity
Yeah.
category. You know, it's in his hands.
Yeah.
I don't think there's too much competition from LeBron, but it is a little biased because he did come in, he did play earlier.
Yeah.
He just
Right.
had the more, he just had the revolutionary, like,
Mhm.
the shoes deal. Like that just wasn't a thing
He
before.
revolutionized it.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
he
yeah.
started the shoe deals. Like, yeah.
So that might
Where's his
be the
mom?
reason why it's more popular. Or, so there's too much we have the stats but there's too much ambiguity to kind of like dissect that stat to try to have like a back and forth argument. So
Yeah.
that's the hard part that
Yeah.
I'm having. But I
Yeah,
think
for
for
sure.
a conversation's sake, argument's sake, it's gonna go to Jordan.
I guess. Also, shout out to the movie. I know you haven't seen Air, which talks about like Michael Jordan's like getting his first shoe deal and just Michael
Mm.
Jordan and all that, and how it's like Michael Jordan's mom facilitated like his first big shoe deal, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's dope. That's
Um,
cool.
a stat I just looked up that's tangent to what we're talking about. I was curious, who has a higher net worth, Michael Jordan or LeBron? Before I read this, who do you think?
Oh, I would think Jordan.
You think Jordan? Final answer?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Michael Jordan, approximately 3.5 billion according to Forbes. Do you think LeBron's in the billions or no?
Yeah.
MJ's 3.5. Okay. LeBron James, approximately 1.2 billion, so less,
Mhm.
but making him the first active NBA player to achieve a billion status. So he is less than Michael Jordan by almost a half. Or shit, yeah, less than a third. Um,
Mhm.
but he's the first person to achieve a billionaire status while playing in the NBA. Again, people get the longevity, but like he's also making moves outside the NBA as well. So again, kind of leans into Jordan, but that caveat, like nobody has ever reached a bill while
Mhm.
playing. So it's like 1 point Jordan, 1 point Bryant. Yeah, I don't know. I just thought that was another little interesting, um,
Billion
kind of
is biased
something to
with
chew on.
inflation, though.
Facts. So Jordan probably more. Yeah.
'Cause I'm
Big
sure if
facts.
the USD
Big
was
facts.
valued against the USD back in the 90s or whatever, I'm
Yeah.
sure it'll be much, much, much less for
Yep. Good point.
LeBron James, but yeah, I see
Um,
what you're saying. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. And then so we're talking about this influence, right? Like, well, outside the game influence, but I'm also thinking within the game who is more influential. But again, because of the timeline, that's so hard to say. Jordan literally influenced a lot of the players that play today. So, but LeBron is influencing the next generation. You know what I mean? So they might be almost neutral there. What I find interesting is the handful of times I've heard people go on camera, like NBA players or ex-NBA players that played with Michael or LeBron and how they speak on them. Like people that play with Jordan will always like, dude, he was an asshole. He like low-key wasn't fun to play with.
Really?
Yes. Multiple, yes. I actually have an uncle that like not my biological uncle, but one of my dad's best friends played with Jordan like way back in the day. I never actually heard
What?
him like speak. Yeah. Brad Sellers. Yeah.
He played with
Yeah, he played on the Bulls, I think. Yeah, I think he did play with Jordan for a
That's
year.
crazy.
Yeah, it's wild. He's like 7 feet tall, so he's crazy tall.
Damn.
Um, but people are on record like Jordan, like practices were hell with Jordan. Now, I'm not gonna say he didn't make his teammates better. Like maybe he forced them to level up from like accountability perspective, like y'all don't go hard enough, etc. Kobe kind of same thing. Like people
Mhm.
didn't like being teammates with Mike and Kobe. LeBron, this is from NBA players, not me. People say like LeBron is a pleasure to play with, and like he forces you to level up. Like you're better by being around LeBron. Now, I think people would probably say you're better by being around Jordan and Kobe, but for different reasons. Like out of fear and because they're like demeaning, whereas LeBron is like uplifting and
Hmm.
also just holds himself to a high standard. So like you know what I mean?
I
So
have I have heard of LeBron's leadership. Like I have heard
yes,
positive things about his leadership
yes,
on and off, like regarding basketball. I didn't
yes.
know about the Jordan piece,
Oh yeah,
but
yeah. People did not like playing against Jordan or with Jordan. Like, not say he wasn't a dominant figure because he was, but like again, unquantifiable. But like that's just something you got to know. One of my last points about the things you can't quantify, which I think is a huge part of the game, is IQ. Um, LeBron
Mm.
is noted for his basketball intellect. Like he, not only is he like like his physical prowess and he's just a freak of nature athletically, he is noted to have one of the best basketball minds like in the game.
What can you give
Past
me
and
like a high level situation where basketball IQ is like that wins, that leads to a score. Whereas if he didn't have a high IQ, if it would.
just be able to see the game and dissect the game. Like there's two ways you can look at this. He's one is just studying like film. Like he's known LeBron, speaking of LeBron, was known to like know opponents' plays like as they were doing them. Like there's this one footage I saw, I forget what team he was playing, where it was don't quote me on the environment, but I think there was like a minute or seconds on the clock, and the team was trying to figure out what play they're running. And Bron was guarding somebody and like whisper, he was like, "Yo, y'all about to run this. Like he's gonna go over here, and the ball's gonna come to him." And like knew the play that they would call up based on the situation of the game, based on historical of like what that team was known to do. So just like a student of the game, but more so somebody that typically has a high IQ is just you know how the game's gonna unfold while it's unfolding or before it happens because you've just consumed so much basketball or
Mm.
like the game comes slow to you. So I don't know, like let's say it's a fast break, like everybody's running down the court. It's like you know people's tendencies or you know what people are gonna do before they do it. Therefore, you angle your passes slightly different, or you position your body slightly different, or you know what plays to call and what situations. Like he's just a
Mm.
if that kind of makes more sense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Can't give you like an actual play what people are doing, but he sees the game in ways other people can't see it, whether it's faster or just more in depth.
Okay, and then you're saying it's significant enough where it's noticeable that his basketball IQ is better than Jordan's.
Yes. Sports analysts have been noted to say it,
Mhm.
and other NBA players have been noted to say it.
Okay, I haven't heard that, but that is a
Yeah.
good
Yes.
point.
That's and Jordan was never noted. I won't say never, but like when people pull out like Jordan attributes, basketball IQ is not one of them. Whereas that is
Huh.
a common theme for LeBron.
Okay.
Which is insane because he has all these other things on paper and he has that, which I think that should go in the go conversation.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, there's a
again,
lot of stuff that it's like, I'm sure you've been in a situation where like you just kind of flip on ESPN or randomly or YouTube, and it's just like these sports analysts just going back and
yeah,
forth against Jordan
yeah.
versus
Oh yeah, it's gonna be
LeBron.
forever.
But
Yeah,
it's just not they don't talk it's all the same conversations I hear
yeah,
every single time.
yeah,
And I think these things are important in terms of it's not like I don't think we're I don't think they understand the caliber of this conversation. We're talking about the greatest player of all time in one of the most popular sports around the world.
yeah, yeah.
Like it
Listen, that's big time.
like uh, objectively speaking, your character off the court shouldn't matter
Hmm.
in terms of who's a better
Was
basketball player.
yep.
But when it comes to the title of the best number one,
Yeah.
I think it does. I just think it does. Like,
I'll double down on that.
yeah.
I'll double down on that. Um, do you think? You said you didn't know, but so Jordan left and came back to the league.
Mhm.
Left in like '98 and came back from 2001, 2003. You think that plays any factor, like helps or hurts his image or his narrative at all? Super
I
rare
didn't I didn't
for
know that
one, but
he
yeah. Trying to look
came
it up.
back.
MJ played until hold on. Introduce Jordan entered the NBA in 1984. He played to 1998. So that's 14 years. Left, so retired in 98, then came back from 2001 to 2003.
Okay, but the majority of the conversation is his first time before he
Yeah,
retired.
yeah. From 80, what I say, 84 to 98. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
I
for
got
sure.
you.
Just impressive as heck that somebody could like come back to the league again. NBA, the highest level of competition in that sport, and you left, which usually people like atrophy or get worse, whatever, and then to be able to come back and say, yeah, it's pretty
You
cool.
think he still play basketball?
Like, could today, or like, do you think are you saying, do I think he does like play pickup, or do you think
Yeah,
I
he
think
does. You think he plays?
I think he does. There was a video a couple years ago where he was like playing 1-on-1 with like some college kids or something.
Oh,
Was
really?
like,
Okay.
like
Yeah, I'm
he
sure.
was
Like at
busting
that
them.
level, you have to have love the game. You can't just go. You can't go
Oh,
to the
then just stop.
NBA just
Yeah.
pure skill. You have to like the game.
Oh
So
yeah.
I'm
Oh
sure, like
yeah.
even if you
Yeah.
quit or
For
retire,
sure.
like you still like the game.
For sure.
Oh.
Okay, so I want to wrap up, and then I have one final question based
Okay.
on the wrap
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
So, based on how we quantified the best postseason wins and scoring per game, Jordan.
Mhm.
That's what we're okay?
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Now, if we were to take in every other factor, just everything, every category you can think of, the ones we talked about and ones we maybe didn't talk about, image, character, net worth, influence, everything, total package. Do you think we have does your answer change?
It doesn't. It's still Jordan,
Okay.
but I do want to say it's Jordan because of the first two things you said of the postseason wins and points per game. That
Got you.
just weighted much more heavily in terms of the total points of being a GOAT.
Okay.
Whereas other stuff, it's important, but just not as important.
Okay.
So it just weighted less. So depending on how you define the GOAT,
Yes.
different
Yes.
categories, like it.
Yeah.
My personal opinion is like, yes, I'm going for Jordan, but it could lean either way depending on how you quantify it very, very, very easily. So when people are like, "Oh, it's so obvious, it's so and so," I don't think that's true.
Okay.
It's very close.
Okay. My next question, my final question, which usually trips people up a little bit, but I don't think it will trip you up based on how we frame this discussion. What would it take for LeBron to be the GOAT? If we're saying he's not.
If LeBron just had more rings, I don't think the conversation would be going to Jordan.
Where most of this conversation made sense, but like, let's say, because people typically get worse at the end of their careers, which is why some people are saying LeBron should retire because he's low key still on a high, or like at least plateau. He hasn't like dipped. He should get out, and so his legacy is not known as like, oh, this dude that did 20 plus years great and then kind of fell off. Let's say LeBron starts to tank, but he stays in the league for 3 more years, and his last 2 years, because he has 4 rings right now. Next year, he doesn't win a ring, but his last 2 years in the league, he doesn't contribute to his team. He gets like 10 minutes a game. He's not the LeBron we all know and love, but he rides the bench and he gets 2 rings because he's on the winning team. So him and Jordan now have the same amount of rings. I don't think that changes the conversation at all. Like,
You're okay. I didn't mean
tangibly
it.
has 2 more rings, but
Yeah,
he's
okay.
not.
I that's what I said, but I didn't mean it like that. I'm saying like he's still
At this
in the
caliber, like
context that the contribution that he has today.
okay.
Where I meant more like if he happened to get as much or more rings like in the previous up to this time that he has played. The finals that he lost, if he won.
Okay, so you're talking
Yeah,
in the past. I'm saying like from
in the
now forward, like is there any world that exists where you think from this day forward, like LeBron could become the GOAT? Like he's not now, but like what would it take for LeBron to be the GOAT? Not changing the past. Like the past is
he
solidified.
has to have the GOAT level, MVP level performance to win those. He can't be averaging 10 minutes a game. He has to be the face of And he has to be a contender for like an MVP and or scores crazy amount of points with like clutch shots, but doesn't necessarily get MVP like that.
Mm,
So with him,
interesting.
with his performance level, or what he's capable of, or was capable of, is capable and or was capable of, if he has that performance to win those
Mm,
rings, I
okay.
think more I think more people would be on the LeBron side, because I think as a general population, you I could be wrong, but from what I hear, when you ask that question with no context, it's usually Jordan. Like more than maybe like 70-30 Jordan, I think.
Yeah.
But if those things came true where LeBron had more rings, or just even amount of rings, or more rings, or continues to get rings as he plays in the next season or later, and he performs in those seasons, I think it could flip where it's like 70 LeBron, 30 Jordan.
Okay. It's interesting because I actually don't think rings should be weighted that much because you could get them without actually contributing. But
Not You're very
um,
right. It's not just the
yeah.
purpose of having the ring, but how you got the ring, if that makes sense.
But see, that's something that you can't like. You either have it or you don't. Like, no, nobody's like, oh, you got it, but like, which is why when people were like, Michael Jordan has more rings, people bring up Bill Russell, who's the dude with the most rings ever. He has 11 rings in NBA, but
He's
like, he's not in the
11.
he's 11. He's not in the GOAT conversation though. Yeah,
Yeah,
he,
yeah.
he has more
Yeah, so
than
it's
LeBron and Jordan combined.
I agree. It's not
You
just
know
the
what I mean?
rings,
Yeah.
but it's the
So it's
performance
like,
to get the ring to,
yeah, which nobody ever says that, but I do think that's important to know. It's not just a ring. All right, well, that's it. MJ versus LeBron, the highly contentious conversation. Kind of got into it. That was fun. I guess I can't believe I'm about to say this on record. I guess Jordan's the GOAT. It is what it is. But hey, LeBron's still active, so hey, I'm keeping hope alive. Who knows what the rest of
it
his
could
career
change.
has. Dude, what if his third son, his youngest son, makes it to the NBA and they're all in the league at the same? Like even that is just like
Is his younger son better than Ronnie? Or you like
from where they are. I think so.
he
I think
will
he's
be
tall. I
better
think
than
he's
Ronnie?
taller too. I think he's
Oh,
taller
really?
too. Bryce, yeah, I think he's
So he just
taller.
has a little bit more of a genetic advantage too.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
But all right, but not to prolong it. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Um, Catch us next week with another interesting, juicy topic. Thanks.